Good afternoon, everybody. I hope everybody's doing wonderful today. Um, I've been wanting to teach more about paganism and try to think of different ways to see what works best for everybody because everybody has their own different styles. And I picked up one of the first books I read about paganism, and it's called The Complete Idiot's Guide to Paganism. Right here. Oops. I like this book a great deal. This is a great way to learn some basic information about paganism. And so, as I was thumbing through it, I was remembering all their little side notes on here. You see, they got these little boxes on the sides that, they'll say like taboo, earth words, forget what the other ones were, oracle. But anyway, each one of these little boxes has an important piece of information, a piece of knowledge that we can all learn from. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through this book here, starting with the one for paganism. And I'm going to talk about first all the taboo boxes. And then I will move on to do like all the oracle boxes. Then they got earth words and drum beats. So there's going to be 4 videos, as long as they're not too long, and where we're going to cover a lot of ground about general paganism, and then maybe we could start some conversations and we'll all learn some more. Okay? So let's get started on this one right here. And we're going to do the taboos first. Because I think there's a little bit more to learn on those than anything else. Some individuals and groups describe themselves as pagans, but seem more interested in throwing wild parties with drug use and even group sex. A true pagan will never ask you to do anything you're uncomfortable doing, sexually or otherwise. If a person or group strikes you as being focused more on sex than on spirituality, don't waste your time with them. And that is so true on so many levels. There are so many misconceptions about paganism. Sexuality and the use of drugs are 2 of the main ones there. Okay. So you've decided that you're a pagan. Great. But avoid using labels like witch or druid or shaman to describe yourself. Among non-pagans, such words can be confusing or even threatening. Among many pagans, such terms are often titles of respect that must be earned after years of study and spiritual practice. Now, unfortunately, we live in a world where there's a lot of undereducated, closed-minded people. If you use a word such as witch, especially around like conservative Bible areas, you could be ostracized, attacked. I remember one of my friends on Facebook telling me how a guy walked up to her and slapped her because she was a witch, and he just shouted out, "Suffer not a witch to live," and then turned around and walked away. So we got to watch about our titles, with the non-pagan world. Amongst the pagans, and I am kind of overly critical on this myself, there are some people that use labels as a title to make themselves look more important. Somebody who's only been a pagan for less than a year, then all of a sudden saying that they're a witch, is kind of iffy. Okay? Next box. Most pagans believe no one has the right to dictate to others what they believe, but this doesn't mean pagans get to ignore tradition, defy common sense, or reject the wisdom of elders. Most pagans believe it's important to respect our human limitations and humbly learn from those who have knowledge to share. I get guilty of this violation right here, because I see a lot of people that are making some very vague claims, and so I kind of stick my nose in it at times. And so while that can be wrong, I do have to remind myself that they have the right to believe how they want to, but sometimes how they believe it is what's in question to me. No, I don't have a single one of these marked, so I am just turning pages as we do this, because this was decided to be done about 20 minutes ago. This is a pretty old book. When looking at all the problems facing the environment, from global warming to overpopulation, from nuclear waste to the endless generations of plastic and other forms of trash, it's easy to feel hopeless and helpless, and even to give up. Don't do it. Our Earth Mother needs you, no matter how small your efforts may be to heal the problem facing it. In other words, pick up garbage. Like myself, I have a rule: I will not litter. I will never intentionally litter. I caught in the back of my truck something flying out, but I've never intentionally tried to litter. I will pick up garbage whenever I can, and my better half, when we go to like the nature park, she brings a couple bags just so that she can pick up trash from other people. Okay. Although some researchers, notably Carlos Castaneda and Terence McKenna, have documented the use of psychoactive and hallucinogenic plants in some tribal cultures. Modern shamans need to stay away from such practices. Not only are most hallucinogenic plants illegal, but many are dangerous if not used in precisely the correct way. Furthermore, traditional shamans receive elaborate training before they ever use drugs in their ceremonies. With drumming and meditation, we have plenty of effective ways to enter altered states of consciousness without psychedelic plants. Now, basically, stay away from drugs. If you need a drug to do your practice, is it the drug or is it your abilities? Because I knew a couple Christian groups that said that they go and they not smoke pot, which I'm not. I don't know much about drugs. I think it was the cocaine. They used to get high, and so that they can go and have their sessions with God, which to me was BS, because it's the cocaine talking, not God talking to them. Many people, especially of European descent, become interested in the spirituality of cultures other than their own and start practicing that borrowed spirituality, almost as if they were learning a new hobby. To many indigenous people, this is disrespectful behavior, so always be respectful when learning about traditions of people different than you. Before you start practicing a borrowed religion, try learning more about the ways of your ancestors first. I am big into this one. I agree with it 100%. I'm Scotch-Irish. I studied the Celtic ways. That's the one I feel very connected to. In my definition of paganism, Native American is not part of paganism. They're similar in so many ways, yes, but I separate them because I want them to be something completely different and respected. There are also a lot of tribes that refused to teach outsiders their beliefs because they're so sacred to them. So when I see all these people going into these tribes and trying to get into their spirituality and all that, I find it offensive to them. And I feel sorry for the Native Americans. Now, it's not just the Native Americans, like your voodoo, hoodoo, and that's like for Haiti and Jamaica and all them. Now, it is true that a pale white person such as myself could probably learn voodoo and hoodoo and such, but how it would be disrespectful if I all of a sudden go in there and study it for 2 years and go, I am a voodoo high priest, because that's just wrong. Divination can be fascinating and fun, and when used properly can be an effective tool for spiritual growth. But be careful not to get caught up in using divination obsessively or compulsively. Remember that tools such as astrology and the tarot are meant to help you grow spiritually. Don't let them run your life. Now, they're tools. They are to assist us. But I see too many people, especially on YouTube, that just go overboard. There's a couple people, they make several videos about all their tarot and oracle cards. And there's a new version I haven't heard of yet. I've got to research those. But this one person, she has an Etsy account where she's selling her tarot and eclectic oracle cards and her readings, and it's just like this is all she focuses on. And I think this is what this taboo was warning us about. If all you're going to do is spend your time doing tarot cards and oracle cards, what else are you missing, though? Okay. Don't call a pagan a witch or a witch a pagan unless the person uses these terms for him or herself. Same goes for calling a witch a Wiccan or vice versa. Many wouldn't mind, but some would be offended by using any of these labels indiscriminately. Now, one of the things I see is that a lot of people assume that just because you're Wiccan, you're a witch, or just because you're a witch, you're a Wiccan. And that's furthest from the truth. You can be a pagan and not be a witch, because witch means a spell user, a magic user. So, since Wicca to me is a religious path, you can be a Wiccan and not be a witch, or you can be a Wiccan witch, but Wicca does not mean witch to me. Oh boy. Many writers from the 18th century to the present day have put forth all sorts of speculations and theories about the ancient Druids and their teachings. Some writers even have published outright forgeries claiming works were of ancient origin when they really weren't. Many of these books are still in print, and the ideas in them are just as bogus today as they were when they were first published. If you are serious about studying Druidism, approach the topic with a critical mind and examine each author's research and biography to make sure the work is based on real, legitimate information. Robert Graves wrote a book called The White Goddess. There are a few other people that wrote some really terrible things. I can't think of his real name, but The Lessons of Merlin. Stay away from that book. It's bad. But we also have modern writers that have written some very terrible books. I don't have it right. Nope, don't have it right here. There is a book called Witta, W-I-T-T-A, by Eden McCoy. And I found that to be an absolutely terrible book. The way she described the Druids in that book was so historically wrong compared to all other knowledge that I was trying to learn. I hated the book. I just couldn't take any more of it. And unfortunately, I think this is true with a lot of Llewellyn books. They push the authors, in my opinion, to write volumes of books and cut back on quality. You take all of the Silver Ravenwolf books, insert laughs here, and you will see that they're basically the same thing, just rewritten in a different way, but they're basically the same book. You buy one, you bought them all pretty much. So you got to be careful about the books. That's why people like me should be writing books also. I'm a little demanding on facts, and so I should be able to, not guaranteed, to write a pretty decent factual book about paganism, and other people should do that as well. Some people do a bit of research into this and that theory about the ancient religion and then decide that there is a one right way to be a druid or whatever the ancient culture that they are studying. While it can be spiritually meaningful to learn as much as you can about ancient practices, don't become self-righteous or snobby towards others. Paganism is based on experience, not dogma. Again, this is something that I fall victim to, just being honest here. I try to do a lot of research, and when I do watch a lot of videos, and there are times where I see things that just don't seem right, and I research them, and then I try to deliver the news, what I've researched, onto a certain subject. Am I perfect? No. Do I know everything? No. But I have 2 bookshelves full of pagan books, and so I can grab a lot of books, and I try to double check, triple check my information. So sometimes I come off as a snob, as they were describing, but in all honesty, I'm actually just trying to help somebody out. Yeah. Racists like Adolf Hitler have appealed to pagan spirituality to justify their extremist positions. But such an interpretation of ancient religion is a perversion of the true spirit of the gods and goddesses. Pagan values like tribal loyalty and honoring of one's ancestries are no excuse for racism or any other form of prejudice. There are unfortunately a lot of neo-Nazi white power groups that do hit the Norse unfortunately really hard and have perverted some of their symbolism and ideals to support a white power, a white supremacy mentality. More historically accurate paganism is not that way. What people are criticizing about the heathens, the Norse, is that they are very protective of their codes, their honors. And because they are trying to protect what they believe, people are saying that they are being racist when they're not. It is like protecting and being respectful of other people's religions. These are guys that are trying to be very protective and respectful of their beliefs, and they don't want somebody coming in there and watering it, distorting it, corrupting it. They're not doing it because of racial issues. They're doing it because of spiritual reasonings. People who grow up in monotheistic religions often harbor the unconscious notion that white and light equal goodness and God, whereas black and darkness equal evil and the devil. These concepts have nothing to do with pagan spirituality. Paganism teaches that both light and dark, both black and white, exist within the spiritual realm of goddess and God. Neither yin and yang are better than the other. Christianity is a dualistic, closed-minded mentality. You are either for or against God. And this is what they're talking about in this little box here. Nobody is truly male only. No woman is strictly woman only. We have in each of us tendencies that some people would say be more feminine, and some women have tendencies that they'd say would be more manly. And there's nothing wrong with that, because we are all unique individuals. I say this a lot in some of my other videos. I believe that man and woman are different. And when they're together, they balance out nicely. It's beautiful. Well, same here. Nothing is truly ever good. There is no concept of good, and there's no concept of evil. There is a difference between doing things that are right and doing things that are not wrong, but of poor decisions, we'll say. So what I do might help out this person here, and I might be going, well, that's a great act that I just did. I helped this person. But what I just did to help this person might hurt that person over there. So it's right and wrong is perception. We have to look at the world with colorful eyes, because it cannot be just black and white. It also has to be blues, greens, reds, yellows, purples, all these colors, because this world, this universe is so vast, so dynamic, we cannot look at it with right and wrong eyes. Okay? The law of karma can make it seem as if people who are poor, sick, and suffering in an oppressive society have just gotten their karmic rewards. In other words, they deserve the crummy conditions they're living in. Well, that may be, but don't use karma as an excuse for blaming people who are less fortunate than yourself. Instead, do what you can to make the world a better place and more just place. By doing things to help each other, from volunteering in a soup kitchen to supporting political reform that benefits the poorest members of society, you create good karma for yourself. Okay. Do the right thing. So many times in life, we become very judgmental, and we get callous, and we look down at people, or we don't like them, or we look at people that seem to be doing better than us, and we don't like them either. We are judgmental. We are human. All people are judgmental. The secret is to get past it and to help out. They're talking about political reform. I am very active in campaigning for Bernie Sanders because I think he can bring a lot of reforms and make it easier for a lot of people who are going without. So it's easy to live in our little world, to isolate ourselves and just take care of ourselves. But we are part of a community, and we have to work together as a community to make this world a better place.